Hey guys, Stealth here. In this gameplay video I'm going to be skipping some parts because they're not all that interesting to watch. But what I do want to highlight is how with a UK Airborne deck, the one that was sent in by Jaeger, you can be pretty effective on a map like Gunboat Diplomacy. Now, as you may have noticed, it's the non-naval version of this map, so we don't have to worry about this section that much. Of course you have to worry about it in the sense that you can expect a helo or an airborne rush from this side. But luckily the enemy did not have a deck like that. Now I'm here with a little green man, and I'm just going to call this guy John because quite obviously it's a sort of picture, let's put it that way, and I'm just going to call him John. What I'm opening here with is a couple of links, AH7s and an AH1 group. What I want to do is quickly capture this area of the map. I tried going towards the other side of the river, but I found that the team that is operating from this side is just pretty quick to capture these buildings, and that once you have them as Blue 4, it's very hard to defend them if you don't have the right infantry. So what I'm going to do here is also bring in some AA infantry in links AH1, some Puma HC1s with Gurkhas, but the initial push is going to be paratroopers and SAS. So let's skip up this part until we actually start playing. We're going to have Smiley. Okay, that's a better name. Smiley over here. And immediately I start to send out a plane. It was a bit faster, I skipped over that part. I sent in a Harrier, the Sea Harrier FRS-1, to go after some air threats to see where the air threats were going in the first place. And Smiley unfortunately lost his F-111C right at the beginning of the game. He did not get a lot of points either, only 80 points, and I'm quickly pushing up here with some Gurkhas, some SES, SBS, reconnaissance units and javelins. I also have a Eurofighter Typhoon circling here, because I want to see what all of these helicopters are up to. And since this thing has exceptional air detection, I'm going to have it as a sort of mobile radar station. It's an elite Eurofighter, so it's not that easy to shoot down either. Especially since the enemy is not likely to have a lot of AA over here. But the DHS do have AA missiles, they carry 4 Molnias each. And the Eurofighter did get hit pretty heavily here. Now I'm coming in with a Sea Harrier FRS-1. This thing is exceptionally suited for dealing with enemy helicopters. It's slow, 750 kph, and that's actually an advantage when dealing with helicopters, and the AIM-9Ls with their good accuracy are very likely to kill off or at least hit a couple of these helos. The ECM is pretty bad, only 10% on these things, but they only have to start hitting these things to panic them and to flush them away from this position. And meanwhile over here it's the usual standoff between infantry from their side, which was a motorized deck, so we got quite the bit of dangerous infantry over here. Like for example Formosa's, which is definitely a match for our 60-man Commander Marine group, which I don't think is a good idea because you got 160 points sitting over here. Some Fallschirm Jaegers by Little Green Man, my Gurkhas, my SCS, my SBS, and paratroopers are holding this flank. And I haven't actually sent any units towards this side yet, but I will do so later on. A couple of these transports got hit pretty bad, but at least they're empty, so they're not that much of a worry. Right flank is defended by Smiley over here with a Challenger Marksman, a couple of Chieftains, reconnaissance unit, but not that many units. That's because this side is usually not that heavily pushed on. Now, we got Smiley over here coming in with a CV. This was a bit of bad coordination inside the team, because Little Green Man already had an infantry CV here. I was bringing in my own, and then Smiley came along with his CV. So we had way too many CVs operating in this area. The infantry CV would have been nice in this section, but it was completely under control of Red 4. You don't want to have a vehicle CV over here because it's going to be targeted heavily and it's not that easy to hide. So we just had too many CVs and we wasted about 200 points in availability just doing nothing here. Over here I got another Sea Harrier FRS-1. I have 2 of those available, and I just want to try to keep an eye on those Mi-24s to see if they're not sneakily flanking around. We also got a Gazelle H1 by Smiley, and Smiley managed to drop off some, let's see, I believe green jackets, reconnaissance units over here. Now with the Lynx AH-7, I'm trying to get a shot at these vehicles. Lynx AH-20 millimeters are also coming in to start dealing with the vehicles. In hindsight, these were not the best units, because the autocannons don't really do a lot of damage. These things have 2 frontal armor, and these guys only have 2 armor penetration, so they're not going to go through this vehicle very quickly. Especially considering the fact that the frontal armor of this vehicle is aimed towards the helicopters, and they're not particularly accurate either. 50% is not bad, but you can see that it does take them a while to kill off this vehicle. And it was pretty risky after a while. There could have been AA in this bush easily shooting down these lynxes. But I get the kill. Unfortunately, the infantry is no longer there. So moving up with the Spartan, and you can see that these are nice off-roaders. They decided not to take the long way around, even as they were set to fast move. They just decided to go across the mountains, and that was the quickest way for them to get to the front line. Also got a Gazelle AH-1 sitting here as a spotter. I don't really need it right now, because we got the SBS over there, and the Spartans on the left flank. But maybe later on I can use this Gazelle to spot this area, or do a little dash forward and spot it. Also bringing in some Scorpion Lights. That's the only tanks that you can get in this deck. Mostly because there were quite some transports operating in this area, and I wanted to get a shot at those things. Scorpions are pretty bad accuracy wise. They have an accuracy of 25%, so they're not very likely to hit anything. But if they do hit anything, especially transports, they will kill them with their 10 armor penetration. And I'm bringing in a 4th one over here, so I got this entire riverbed covered, and a little bit of the bridge. Now let's skip this up a little. This is a nice combination that I found with the UK. I'm going to pause it quickly because the Harriers are all at the same speed. Except for the Harrier GR1, which is a slow bomber at only 600 kph. The rest of them travel at 750. So this AA unit, this fighter, is as fast as the bomber. And that's why it's an excellent escort for this unit. I was pretty sure they didn't have any AA here, but I wanted to make sure that if they did, especially if there was another aircraft in here, I could shoot it down. So doing a bombing run and killing off a couple of transports here. Not really worth my time, but you never know what those transports are going to do. Keeping my Harrier around for a little while longer while the bomber gets evac'd, so that if another aircraft comes in to deal with this, at least my Sea Harrier has some chance to hit it, but nothing showed up here. Scorpion Lights are coming in. You can see we're doing a bit of a dance back and forth here with Fosschem Jaegers, some infantry, heavy smirching over here, as you can see by all the cluster impacts. And they had a lot of mortars and base artillery. Smirch was firing again. So there was quite a lot going on. We spotted CV over here, but unfortunately unable to get it. I would have loved to have had mortars in this gameplay, but unfortunately they are a unit that is not available for the UK Airborne. You just don't get them. You get nothing in the support tab, and that is really quite painful from time to time, because for example a unit like the Marksman, the Challenger Marksman, would have been nice to have, but I just don't get those, so you're gonna have to work around that. I tried to land some SBS in here. I did probe with another helicopter, but there wasn't any unit which was countering it back then. So by the time that I sent in the SBS, they had discovered that I was trying to do a landing here, and that's when they destroyed my unit. Some more Pumas are coming in with a couple of Gurkhas inside, because I want to try and do a push here. I requested smoke. Not their smoke though. This is Red 4 that is smoking this position. Again, because I don't have any mortars, I cannot put on a smoke screen, which makes it so that I cannot assault this position without being likely to get attacked here. You probably saw that the Sea Harrier went down here. A Jaguar tries to fly in, but again does not get a shot off. Or it got the shot off, but it does not get the kill. But I did manage to do some damage to the vehicles here, and that repelled their push. Now this game gets to be pretty standoffish. It's running into a stalemate, and while I can do some damage with my Gurkhas over here, I'm pretty quickly getting forced back into my hideout here, especially by all of the artillery. One thing that I did keep in mind is that the Formosas don't have a great range on that pellet and grenade launcher, and they could not hit my my Gurkhas with anything other than their RPK. So my Gurkhas with their mini-me were capable of dealing some damage to them, although not that much, while my friendly mortars, or just main artillery, but I think, yeah, it's main artillery, it's Caesars. They did do quite a bit of damage to the Formosas and possibly end up taking them out in the end, but I'm not too sure about that. In the meanwhile, we got special forces way behind enemy lines, and this is going to be a very interesting area a little later on in the game, so we're going to move up the game and see how fast we can get there. As you can see, I'm just trying to get my forces back as every building here on the front line is being mortared. See, Harrier tries to shoot down a jet, but eventually I think that the javelins got it. Eurofighter came in to help with that destruction, but wasn't needed here. And all my aircraft are being evac'd again. The thing that I found with the UK Airborne is that you're going to have to rely mostly on your aircraft in a form of artillery. The problem is that you don't get any actual artillery, so you are risking a unit that's at least 100 points. That is risky, but it's really the only option that you have. That and trying to find weak spots in the enemy lines and trying to capitalize on that. Again, Gurkhas and Fusiliers here taking a lot of artillery fire, and they're just driving us out of these buildings. By now I wasn't the only one doing air surveys. I also had Little Green Man here with a Eurofighter. I had Smiley with a with a Tornado. I had Smiley with a Eurofighter Typhoon. And we had a couple of Cassiopes over here from Little Green Man moving to support this flank. Although there wasn't really that much happening. But just look how far these Green Jackets are managing to go. They've made it all the way past this open field, which is a pretty interesting feat by itself. And the Green Jackets, while they can use this as cover, have not spotted anything yet. But look at that. That's an interesting unit to kill. It's a 130 point artillery unit. And we can keep eyes on that and send in a plane or two with a bombing run like a cluster bomb or just a standard HE bomb. Those things are going to go down. So over here I managed to destroy a couple of transports, and the Scorpions are trying very, very hard to get a couple of accurate shots on these guys. Not exactly succeeding in that. That's the terrible accuracy at work here. They had 31% accuracy because they get a bit of veterancy. But Mr. Bond here in the Scorpion light tank is not very effective. Meanwhile, we're again taking Smirch fire, which is wiping out transports. Now, they're not that important, but they do rack up quite a score if they manage to keep destroying these vehicles. And my command vehicle, which was parked here, of course way too close to the front line, gets destroyed by another Smirch run. So that was another 100 points down for me. Scorpion Light gets engaged by artillery right away. And the Scorpion Light on this flank is trying to get a couple of shots off at this thing, but again, 33% accuracy. This thing is a long way from the accuracy that, for example, the Challengers have. But in the end, it did manage to destroy it for another 15 points. And you can see that the scores are going back and forth quite a bit. Red 4 in the lead most of the time at 1600 points versus almost 1400 in our team. But they are ahead by 300, so that is something that we need to worry about. I'm offloading some special boat service here to start reconning this area again. We do have the Green Jackets, and they have spotted stuff. And over here we can see some Tornado IDS and ECR coming in. I'm not sure why he's bringing in the IDS. I think that this thing is going to get shot down pretty soon. Yep, there it goes. Without really seeing what they have in here. You can see that the Tornado ECR with its harm missiles did fire twice, but did not manage to kill anything here. So let's see what they have. The Tunguska, LSTR-40 with their Iglas, and that's it as far as AA is concerned. So they didn't really have a lot of units here. In hindsight, it would have been ideal if we would have had my special boat service move up through this flank and try to get into this forest, because we could have spotted that CV, neutralized it, and held this zone as our own. But of course, hindsight. A couple of more DHSs moving up. So this is the AA version with both the Molnia and the Kokon M. And I really wanted to know where these things were going, because they just kept sending these helicopters towards the mountains here, the hills. And I know that they had Cassiopes here, my ally Little Green Man. So I wanted to help him out a little bit. So I'm sending in 2 Harrier, Sea Harrier FRS-1s, trying to find those units that are coming up here, the helicopters. And I'm reasonably certain that I can fly through here without taking too much AA fire. And there's the helicopters. These helicopters, these Cassiopes, don't stand a chance against the DHSs. But here's my Harriers, which managed to kill off 1 helicopter and damage the other one. And suddenly these Cassiopes have a much better chance of survival. The one problem that I had was that these things were operating way too close to each other. And that is something that can really break you up. In the sense that 1 HE missile or 2 HE missiles with a HE value of 9 can destroy this unit. And not 1 but 2 of them, because the HE has, what do you call that, a splash range. So it's going to do more damage than just hitting 1 unit. It's going to also splash the other one. Particularly at this range. This was just way too close. 1 fighter could have done these guys both, but it is a bit of fancy aerobatic flying if you can get a formation as close as this. And they just wave their goodbyes and exit the map. So, reconnaissance here has spotted some interesting targets. 2 of those HB 2 S19s, 130 points each. If we can destroy these things, we're going to wipe out 260 points, which is going to get us a little bit closer to the 9,000 point mark. So we're flying around a lot of aircraft here. We got Eurofighter, we got Peace Rhines from Little Green Man, we got another Eurofighter Typhoon, which is getting evac'd here, a Jaguar with its AT missiles, Harrier GR5 with 4 500 kilogram bombs. And we're just skirting around the map, coming in from here, moving around the edges, evading all AA, and finally going in for the kill. All because these green jackets, my Smiley, managed to get eyes on this target. There goes the first one. Second one's taking artillery fire. Harrier GR5 comes in, and unfortunately it manages to miss the target because the target moved. But then the Jaguar finishes it off and it gets evac'd. Eurofighter Typhoon gets evac'd before Redfor has a chance to retaliate against too many of these aircraft. And while it did fire off 2 missiles here, a heavy missile launcher, all planes make it out alive. But they are wounded, of course. Sea Harrier here kills off an 85-point AA unit. And again, we got an Mi-2 over here. If I had SAS over here, I would have killed off that Mi-2 easily. But I only sent in reconnaissance units without an AA weapon. But fortunately, the Eurofighter manages to lend a hand, and this helicopter is going to come crashing down. But probably not before actually spotting my SBS here. In the middle of the map, still nothing going on. Still a lot of artillery that came in on my Gurkhas. I lost 1 squad here, I lost 21 guys from this group. So quite a bit of losses here. And I was just... well, I wasn't going to say salivating, but I just saw so many targets here that I could have mortared. Of course, it's not going to do too much damage to TO-55s, but Scott 2As are an easy target and would have been very nice to kill off. But again, no mortars for a UK Airborne deck. Moving in with a Sea Harrier, some Lynx AH-1 with SAS, Tornado ECR, and a Tornado GR-1 with cluster bombs, trying to get a combined run on the Tunguska that was in here. I wasn't sure where it was. Unfortunately, just lost eyes on it. But I thought that, okay, if they spot my 1 bomber, if they spot the Tornado, they might probably turn on the Tunguska. and that's when the Sea Harrier FR2 can take it down, or FA2. Eurofighter Typhoon was operating here quite some time already, so it's going to run out of fuel. But we got a second Eurofighter taking over this position, which has plenty of fuel left. There you go, evac bingo. Tornado GR1 coming in, and it's just going to bomb, I think it's going to bomb this MI2. Now, it was not a very expensive target, but it did make it so that the Green Jackets survived to fight another day. They were still not spotted. And this Eurofighter manages to get another shot in the Mi-24, but it takes a bad hit. So this thing is going to be out of play for quite a while. And now I have my SAS and my SBS. So if I can make sure that I can get these closer to the edge, I can start firing at the Mi-2. And there's two more fast blips moving across the screen. Again, my combination of two Sea Harrier FRS-1, this time a bit further apart. And this MiG-13 or MiG-29 13S is thinking, ooh, nice snack. Yeah, except that the Sea Harriers are pretty damn capable of fending for themselves. One takes a hit, the other one is full health. They each fire off one M9L and kill off a 150 point plane. And I believe that I'm going to evac them now, but I'm not entirely sure. I should have, because this position is no longer safe, especially since there's now a group of 30 LSTRs operating here. Very dangerous units with those Iglas, especially for my Sea Harriers, with their only 10% ECM value. So I'm pulling back with the SBS, pulling back with the SAS. SAS were clearly spotted, and they're getting artillery already. You can see that, apart from the action over here, nothing is going on. We're trying to do a bombing run on this position, but I'm going to lose that bomber because I was a bit too enthusiastic about taking down these tanks. Lost a Gazelle on this flank, and by now the LSTR-40s have managed to destroy my special boat service as well. There's a transport out here. I'm not sure if it's spotting anything. Let's have a look. No, it's not spotting anything. And Raspelmus is saying please put man pads here to make sure that we have at least some AA defense, which was a good idea because we were constantly flying over here with helicopters, airplanes and whatever other flying unit we could find pretty much. Here our GR5s are coming in to do a bombing run on the LSTRs. It's a very risky move, but it is going to pay off. You can see that they're already starting to take aim with their Iglas. They're taking aim, but they have to be still in order to do that. So I get the bombing run off, and while the missile does hit the GR5, and the other one gets destroyed by the Tunguska that's operating here, I did manage to destroy two groups of LSTRs. So it was a bit of a bad trade-off here. By now we were discussing about destroying this FOB, and I say, yeah, let's go for it, because we do need to get these MLRSs out of play. And the best way to do that is to just cut off their supplies. If they have no supplies left, they're going to stop firing. So that's going to make our life a bit easier, especially here in the middle of the map. Again, a nice artillery target drives by, but I have nothing to shoot it with. So I will probably not be playing this UK Airborne deck again, because I find that it just does not have the necessary capacity to go after targets of opportunity, like the Flacom Strela 10Ms, like the Scots, the OT-64s, this transport over here. I just need my mortars or my long-range artillery, and I didn't have either. Now my SCS are in quite a bit of trouble. They got LSTRs coming in from this side. They got a Tunguska coming in. I think I saw a transport here as well. So I'm trying to get these guys to the edge of the map. I'm talking about the edge of the map. We still got the Green Jackets over here. They still have not been detected. So excellent spotting here by Smiley. We got quite a few kills here. Lost some units as well, but at least we got two of those heavy artillery units out of the way. And I believe this is going to spell the doom of those Green Jackets. This is going to be the end of them. This one 40-point reconnaissance helicopter. Now again, middle of the map, nothing going on. I am pulling back my Gurkhas to get them refueled and rearmed. Or actually refueled, I mean resupplied, get them back up to a 15-man squad. Taking quite some supplies here, but I do fly back and forth with the Chinook to my fob to make sure that all of these supply vehicles are getting their supplies back up, so that if we need to rearm and resupply a group, we can. But again, nothing going on here. Now this unit has probably been spotted, but they haven't capitalized on it, so they might not have actually seen it. In the meanwhile, my Gazelle should have moved out quite a long time ago. And since I haven't done that, this thing is just going to chew it up. Now I finally realize what's going on, but way too late and I lose my helicopter. My SAS though is still here, still going strong. And unfortunately I don't have my Eurofighter up. But I believe that this Eurofighter can take down the bomber without taking too much fire from the Tunguska. Yep, evac ordered right away. It's still a very close game. Almost 3,000 for Red 4, almost 3,300 for Blue 4, so we're 300 points apart. And at this point we're really going, okay guys, conserve your points. Don't do anything stupid, don't do any too risky maneuvers, because we're going to regret it. And at this point I really start screwing up, because I start risking bombers for bombing runs where they really didn't, the reward wasn't worth the risk that I was putting into these guys. So pretty bad play there by me. They are whittling down this fob. It's down to 1 block of health, and I believe that some of the artillery is going to finish it off eventually. Unfortunately, over here are the corpses of the 2 Caesars. I believe they were by a little green man, and he did not move them after they fired, which cost us another 240 point loss and the loss of 2 great artillery units. So I doubt he'll be forgetting that and making sure that they can actually get these guys moving after every shot, after every salvo. Considering how far these guys are away from the fob, they are definitely moving after every shot. And I believe that the last rounds are now in the air going after the fob. And you can see it just gets destroyed here. Green jackets have been detected, and he is trying to move them up in order to make a final spot. We spot some Mondavas. Again, I cannot do anything, but my allies with their artillery, like these units, are immediately taking aim and trying to get these guys out of the way. Meanwhile, I'm doing some bombing runs here, trying to get a shot at the Tunguska, which unfortunately is not active, so the alarm missiles cannot find it. Now let's move it up a little. Green jackets are taking a ton of fire from these SFL-2s. And there goes our reconnaissance unit. By now we spot the Smirch here, which is another nice 140 point kill. And he manages to shoot it down or destroy it with a Peace Rhine. I got my entire Air Force operating here, but we could not spot any more targets, and we were not really going to risk spotting anything either. I did ask Little Green Man to spot a little closer with his Tiger, because these guys got good stealth and not that likely to get detected. And he was saying, well, I don't want to risk it, and we were 500 points ahead, so yeah, it wasn't really worth the risk anyway. So all of my aircraft are being evac'd again. And over here I'm trying to do some damage to these SFL-2s. Again, my Scorpions are having quite the hard time shooting an immobilized target because it ran out of fuel. And the fuel truck is there, but it hasn't managed to refuel all of them. Some of these guys are still moving, but they're going to run out of fuel soon. And my SAS are still here. And they managed to destroy some choppers here. Well, not that many. Well, last couple of minutes of the game, you're going to see me make a ton of mistakes, as I mentioned before. The Sea Harriers FRS-1s are operating here as a sort of air screen. There's a Eurofighter coming in, there's a Sea Harrier coming in, we got a K-Who ready without any targets. So we got all sorts of units going ready, but this was really what we were after. This was also what we were after, but it was not lit up. It was not radar active, so my Sea Harriers couldn't find it. I did consider going after it with a Scorpion, and then I decided, well, it's not really worth the risk. Although it is an 85 point unit, and the Scorpion could have hit it maybe after 20-25 shots with their terrible accuracy. This position was getting heavily artied, and unfortunately we lost 2 more artillery units here. I think, yeah, these are the 109 RCHAs that that Smiley was using. So we lost another 2 artillery units, and Red 4 is slowly catching up to our point value. Now I did consider going around here to the flank with some infantry with an airborne landing force, but I thought, well, it's not worth it. I might be able to get in, but the only attack helicopters that I have are units like the Lynx the Lynx 3, the Lynx TOW 2, Lynx 20mm, and the rest is Lynx AH7 with infantry. So I don't exactly have the weapon systems that other units have. There goes one Sea Harrier. The other one gets evac'd, but it gets destroyed anyway. So I lose 2 planes, which cost us another, I believe, 100 points. So terrible play by me there. I also lost a Javelin, because I was moving up here and trying to get a shot at some of these helicopters as they were flying by. And now Red 4 seems to be doing a final desperate offensive here. We get a couple of MTLBVs, a couple of OSA, or one OSA is coming in. So we're responding to that. Sea Harrier trying to get a shot at the OSA, hitting it with the first shot, getting evac'd. Hopefully it's going to make it out. It did not make it out. Sea Harrier got destroyed. Harrier GR5 comes in to do a bombing run, and it also takes a lot of fire. Unfortunately, this one does manage to make it out alive, and I weakened this group of LSTRs but did not kill them. And this is what was really causing trouble for me. I could not fly in a bomber, mostly because there was a Cub here, Iglas there, and of course the LSTRs. So I ended up barely getting a positive value. I got 200 points more than I lost, but I will not be playing UK Airborne again, simply because it is not my playstyle. So I hope you liked watching this gameplay. I know it wasn't the most interesting, but I wanted to get a gameplay of the UK Airborne that I did anyway, to show you how I play the deck. If you have any great UK Airborne replays for me, send them in through the link down below, because I am looking for great replays of this deck. So if you have any, please send them over and I'll feature them on the channel. With that, don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Thanks for watching.